After Bill Beaumont has been re-elected for the chairman of World Rugby, there has been some articles and some news that have been re-escalating recently. And one of those ideas is the Nations Cup. Obviously, I had a lot of criticism and obviously had some positivity coming out of it as well for some fans. So today we're going to talk about it. So let's get into the video. Welcome back to another rugby video. Please make sure you go ahead and smash that like button to show your support for the channel, and if you are new, please go ahead and subscribe. We upload rugby videos every single week guaranteed, so please click the notification button so you don't miss out. The introduction of a so-called Nations Cup has been rekindled, but is not a guarantee Wales would be playing in the top tier despite European title assurances. World Rugby has attempted to soothe fears from Wales and the rest of the Six Nations. They could face relegation if fresh plans to bring in a Nations Cup tournament get off the ground. But its newly re-elected chairman, Sir Bill Beaumont, outlined a situation where not all Six Nations countries may be in the top tier of a so-called Nations Cup. The quest to start a 24-team tournament which would take place every year outside of the World Cup campaigns was discontinued last June following strong opposition from Northern Hemisphere stakeholders. Bill Beaumont, speaking in a virtual press conference, revealed a modified proposal was back on the agenda. He said it was a part of a wide-reaching proposals to bring the Northern and Southern Hemispheres together and revitalise Test rugby. He said, "I think there is an appetite to revisit Nations Cup, and that could involve the two Test windows we have currently got," explained the former England and Lions captain. "Currently our windows are in November and July, but I think there could be an appetite for putting the two together. There are representatives from the Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemispheres doing that." Beaumont stressed they are very much in the embryo stage at the moment, but people are talking. The North would go south in 1 month and immediately afterwards the South would come north. But bearing in mind we have to take all stakeholders with us, the club and the European game. Within that you could have a competition between all countries that play in those two windows, and also sitting below that a subsidiary competition which involves all the emerging nations playing at the same time. You could well add promotion and relegation into that competition. Asked if that would include the Six Nations with Georgia leading the call-up for up and down system to be introduced, Beaumont replied that hasn't been discussed. But he added, that would not be the intention currently, but who knows, there might be an appetite from the Six Nations. The Six Nations is owned by the Six Nations, and the Rugby Championship is owned by SANZAAR, which is South Africa, New Zealand, Australia and Argentina. What we will try and do is bring any new competition that keeps the Six Nations standalone a competition. But there could be well an assistance, and this is my own view of it. In the Nations Cup there may be not all the Six Nations teams that are playing in the competition at the top level. Beaumont poured scorn on a report the Six Nations could be moved to later in the year in a revamp of the global calendar. He believes that July and November test windows would be the ones more likely to be changed to bring uniformity. Why would you move the Six Nations, he said, before pointing out it's not having an effect on anybody else's window or the global calendar. So what do you guys think of this? This article was reported by Wales Online, so shout out to them. And yeah, personally I think it is quite an interesting topic to be talking about. Having like a world league would be pretty interesting, but then what would be the point of the Rugby World Cup? It would kind of take it away from the whole scheme of things, I think. I think if they were going to be doing this, I think I would like to see more sort of tour-based competitions. So if they were going to have this, say if it was, let's say, Northern Hemisphere versus Southern Hemisphere, I think the best way to do that would be allowing smaller European teams playing smaller Southern Hemisphere teams as well. And I think that would be really the only fair way of doing it. So, for example, let's say you had a pool sort of competition, right? And let's say you had Wales, Georgia, and let's say Spain, okay? So Wales will have to play those two teams. Whoever finishes top of that group will then play a Southern Hemisphere team. I think that would be the only interesting way of doing it. And I think that way then, say if it was being played in July and November, so for example, July, Wales could be playing those games, and then come November, whoever they have, if they won the group, whoever they play will be coming from the Southern Hemisphere up here, and then competing for that sort of title. I think that would be an interesting way of doing it, but otherwise I'm not really a fan. I think the only way this is going to work is if we bleed in literally teams that don't get to play much rugby professionally, and then just letting it be promoted more in that country. I think that is the better way of doing this. As you guys know, I've always been big fans of like tier 3 and tier 2 nations, and I would love to see rugby grow in those nations, like Spain, like Brazil, like Uruguay, and so on. So I think if this competition was to come about, I think that would be the best way of doing it. I may talk about this again in a future video. I think it would be quite interesting, my take on like how it would work and so on. I might do that. I think that would be quite a cool one. But yeah, hopefully you have enjoyed today's video. Please make sure you go ahead and smash the like button down below to show your support. And let me know in the comment section what you think of this tournament. Do you think it will happen? And if it is to happen, what would you like to see introduced into it? Let me know. And yeah, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. We upload rugby videos every single week, guaranteed, covering everything to do with rugby, rugby news, rugby gaming, everything, you name it, we cover it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I've been Andrew. I will see you in another video. Peace out, guys.